some fun? Wanna have some fun? Wanna have some fun? Fun?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the Remix Rewind for week 9. We got the assistant commissioner and we got the commish back this week with us. How you doing, buddy?
After such a break and hearing such limited fantasy football knowledge on this podcast, I just could not help myself any longer. I had to relieve the assistant commish here. He was under fire from some of our league mates. We have a full squad here back with us for week 10, recapping week 9. I'm feeling little okay on fantasy football. We are heading down the stretch here. 5 weeks left in the regular season. How about yourself?
Yeah, still doing pretty good like I was last week. I got some more concerns each week, but yeah, it is what it is.
Well, the last 4 weeks we spent, I think it was 4, we spent doing the interdivisional matchups.
Mm.
And I frankly have no fucking idea how well each division did against the other. I don't think it really matters. But um, we're now turning for the home stretch. We're going to be playing all of our division mates in the same order that we did the first 5 weeks of the season. So whoever you played in week 1, you got this week 2, you got the week after, and so on and so forth until we get to week 14. And then that's it. That big boat home into the playoffs. So now is the time. If you're going to pull a deal or do something bold, you got to do it, because looking at these standings, it's tight, and one move here or there could be the difference between getting in and being on the outside looking in.
Yeah, this is one of the few weeks like people like started getting separation just because all the point differences now. Only one tiebreaker type point was just with you and Ultimate Warrior at the bottom here.
I suppose we could just dive straight into the standings. I mean, there's not any real shockers. I mean, the top 6 remain the same teams, just a little bit of jockeying at the back end. Do you want to go through our top 6?
Yeah, we can start off. Still the biggest show, number 1 at 15 points. Vegeta Talladega Nights at 13. Assistant Commish Slayer at 11.5 at 3, and 4 Thomas Shelby 11 points. 5th Steve Dooku at 10. 6th Sally Ball's brother at 9. 7th Saquon D's Nuts 8.5 points, and 8th got the Commissioner at 8 points. 9th Ultimate Warrior with 8 points, and 10th Nick Saban 7 points. 11 Frank Lucas 6.5, and Busty's ass rounding out the bottom at 5 points.
Yeah, so only 4 points separates last place from the last place in the playoffs, 6th through 12th. That is such a small error. I mean, you can make that up in 2 weeks of really strong play and just luck on your side. So no one is out of it yet, although, you've got 5, 6, 7 points. You really need to, your goal has to be, I have to pick 1 point up at least every week, because you have to put the pressure on Sally and Steve and Shelby to not get any points. It's no coincidence that these are our 6 teams, and in some combination have more or less been the same 6 teams in the whole season. I mean, look at the list of our top dick winners. I mean, with the exception of Frank and Ultimate Warrior, I guess Saquon. It's been you. It's been Vagina. It's been Biggest Show. it 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 just it's players that are scoring well. Makes total sense that they're the ones at the top of the standings. Or if they're just unlucky, they're sort of knocking on the door. Frank is sort of the outlier here. He had one really good week, and he's at the bottom. But Everyone in contention, it seems like right now, has put up at least one really uber good week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. This one of the few weeks, the biggest show, he doesn't get any points and allows us to catch up just a little bit. But and I just noticed that he hasn't got top dick this year either.
A little unlucky, I would
Yeah,
imagine. I
yeah.
mean, he's been very consistent, but then he's also he's also had to survive on some of these trades because his team has been a little injury prone. He's had guys in and out of the IR room. He's just been able to supply them with fresh bodies that happen to be really good from his trades.
Hey, he's
Even
still
though
trying
his
to. Hey, what's that? Sorry.
even though his last trade actually traded for a guy who was on IR, so
Yeah.
he's just swapping them in and out.
And he's still trying to cook on some trades too.
Oh yeah. I don't know where you want to go from here. I mean, we've discussed the standings. It's pretty tight. There are an argument can be made. There are the top 10. Nick Saban on up. Could win top dick and the next week be in the top 6 and kick somebody out. So
Yeah.
it's it's still very close, and these matches are important.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of breakdown by division, the commission knows how to pick them. I mean, the top 3 teams are all in NWO,
Uh,
and, and the next 3 teams are all the good fellows.
yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
either you're a have or you're a have not. You're in the top half of your division or you're eating crow.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Saquon jumps. You and Warrior. How do you feel about that?
I got a little unlucky this week. I
Mm-hmm.
Not only did I finish 7th in total points, barely, I I I felt pretty confident going into Monday night against Saban that I was actually going to beat him,
Oh yeah.
and I picked up the Kansas City defense, which has been extremely good all year, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I needed them to get 10 or 11 points, which they have cleared in every single week they've played, and of course they choose week 9 to give
Yeah.
their absolute worst by far defensive performance. Um,
Yeah, let's. I gotta look at how many it was. I got a second. Yeah, more than he get 5 points.
I mean,
Yeah,
look at what they've been doing all year: 13, 17, 12, 17, 17, 16. Week 9,
yeah.
4.7.
It's the only outlier. And that sucks about the streaming defense shit, isn't it? Isn't that awful?
Well, I've picked them up to hold on to them. I mean, they've been very
Oh, okay.
strong, and
Yeah, yeah,
and down the stretch, they got some pretty okay opponents. Um,
yeah.
I may make some tweaks. I have to get in the playoffs, so I'm not worried about playoff scheduling right now. But that's just the difference. They do what they normally do and get me 10, 12 points. Not only
Hmm.
do I beat Saban, but I scored in the top 6. And
Yeah.
instead of having 8 points, I have 10, and I'm arguably in 5th place. Like, I'm not I'm not that worried. This is just more of the same medicine that I've been dealing with all year, just sort
Yeah.
of weird bad beats. So it makes it interesting. It's if I was just
uh,
cruising in 1st or 2nd place this year, it'd be kind of boring. So
yeah.
I kind of like the struggle a little bit.
Yeah, you've lost out on like a top dick a few times, right? Or at least once in horrific fashion, right?
I've won the Harry Jackson Award once. I don't know
Yeah.
if anyone else has accomplished that this year.
Yeah.
I've
No,
I
didn't some guy get that this week as well? Didn't somebody join you with that pretty much?
I don't know. I mean, we can get into these matchups. I didn't actually see. Did someone finish as the second overall
Yeah.
scoring team and then lose?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's see. Oh, and lose. I'm not sure about that part, but let's see who it was. It was unfortunate. Let's see. It was
See that?
Steve. He was looking like he was gonna get top,
Oh,
and Vegeta just comes in on Monday and just wrecks him.
well, that happens. To qualify as the Harry Jackson Award winner,
Mhm.
you have to be the second overall scoring team on the week but still lose your matchup.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty rare. You have to lose to the top dick of the week while being the second highest scoring team in the league.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that week it happened to you though. Yes, absolutely. Mm,
So I had that. It was, I think, 1 week I was really close to winning top dick. When at week 2, Ultimate Warrior sort of
mhm,
snatched that in
mhm,
less than a point, and
mm.
then perhaps it was the week last week when you won top dick. It was really
Yeah.
close going into Sunday or Monday night, and then CD Lamb sort of blew the top off of that one. So I've had some close calls, but this isn't about me. I mean, I'm in
Yeah.
8th place.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about the bigger fish here.
Yeah. Let's talk about Blake, Vegeta, Talladega Nights. He gets what is second of the year top scorer.
I
He
just I want to give him some flowers here. He was by far the worst team in this league last year. It was his first season. Um, he has certainly turned it around. I mean, what can you attribute to his team now? Either decisions he's made in the draft, trade decisions he's made, free agent pickups. Is there anything you can sort of put your finger on to account for this turnaround?
uh well, I think he's made some trades, but yeah, yeah, with me and some other players, but I think just as a whole, some of his players are coming around now. The Jackson Smith guy and Patrick Mahomes even look more than serviceable this week.
Yeah, I sort of have to take. I'm going to take credit. I guess both of us could take credit for him for his top dick this week. I traded him. He gave me in a trade DK Metcalf, and I gave him back Jackson Smith and Jigba and Kareem Hunt,
Oh
and
boy.
they get him almost 70 points this week.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you contributed this to him. Yeah, my lord.
I mean, this is the first week he could really say that JSN had a real breakout.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but boy, without those two players, he would have been fairly pedestrian.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't realize how up and down this Jackson Smith was. Yeah, look, we'll have to see what he does going forward with this.
But he puts DeAndre Hopkins in his lineup. D Hop he stacks D Hop with Patrick Mahomes, and
Hmm.
they combine for another 50 points. That's that's good, and I'm sure Hopkins was just available on the waiver wire, and he picks him up. He has the balls to start him and JSN. I mean, like he goes into the week and he could not have been feeling terribly good about it, the outcome, and
Yeah.
and yet he comes away as a top dick. Like sometimes you just have to be lucky. And I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting that he is in second place in the standings merely because of luck, but um, it definitely helps to have a guy have a career breakout game when you really need him and you start him.
Yeah, well, I mean, so even his bench players, two of them went off. I mean, so I mean, even if he'd have plugged some others, he would have been good. You know?
Yeah, he's making the right decisions. He's not making stupid decisions,
Yeah, no, I
um,
agree with you on that. Yeah,
and he's mixing things up. He's trading. He's not afraid to go after certain waiver wire assets. He's just staying fluid, and I think that's what you have to do.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to talk about his opponent, Warrior? Any?
I mean, the man put up 135 points. He's he's in 9th place, and he's deceased. I don't really know what we really need to say about him.
Yeah, he came off the turnbuckle and he's down. Yeah, he's hurting.
One too many times off the top rope. I called him the penultimate warrior at the beginning of the season. He's not exactly on his last leg, but he's kind of getting there. He's
Yeah.
entering Mickey Rourke territory.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
him and I both are going to be the grumpy old men of the ring trying to fight for 8th place.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, if he loses one of his good players right here, like he's done. Like, yeah.
I just he picks up this guy Cade Otton. I mean, like just
Yeah.
just off the street. Look what this dude,
Yeah.
this tight end from Tampa Bay has done the last 3 weeks. 19 points, 24 points, 17 points. 3 touchdowns. Like he, Warrior Mackey, the manager. I mean, he's really shrewd, and he's he's sort of had the injury bug. He's got Mike Evans out, Nick Chubb, who he drafted, who just I don't think Nick Chubb's going to be much this year.
Yeah.
He can't really start him. He'll be maybe a good keeper for next year. Jameson Williams evading the law, suspended. He can't bank on him. And
Mhm.
Isaiah Pacheco, he really needs him to get back in the game so he can have a full running back core. I think the biggest disappointment for him has been the Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison stack. That
Oh
has just killed.
boy.
It's just killed him.
Yeah.
He's gotten 2 really good games from Marvin Harrison, 2 other games that have been like okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that have been weak killers. And it's not like he can just say, I know when Marvin's going to go off and when he isn't.
Mhm.
He's sort of forced to put him in his lineup. And then Kyler Murray, this is by far his worst week. I mean, he scored the exact same amount of points as the Kansas City defense, but
Mhm.
he was kept by Mackey to be a difference maker at quarterback, and he really hasn't.
Mm-mm.
He's
No.
had 4 weeks where you thought, I got the guy I wanted. Week 2, 32 points. Week 5, 27. Week 7 and 8, 23 and 27 points. Everything else has just either been pedestrian or just not cutting it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Daniel Jones-esque. So I I don't know what to say here. He could probably benefit from trading some of these dudes, and I'm sure he's been receiving trade offers from uh at least at this point a will remain unnamed manager for Kyler Murray,
Yeah.
someone in
Yeah.
need of a quarterback, but uh, he's obviously just not going to give these players away for free. He needs to make a push to make the playoffs. So
Mhm.
I started off talking about him by saying we're not going to talk about him, and here we are 5 fucking minutes later. So,
Yeah.
and anything you want to add?
No, he's all banged up. Let's talk about Steve Duku, 182 points this week.
Man, Steve is just hit or miss, isn't he?
Yeah. He's all over the place.
I want to go and look at his splits this year. So
Yeah. He gets he's gotten top dick twice already so far, but
look, look, look at these points he's put up. Week 1, 189. Wins top dick. You and I are sitting there talking about how we don't know how anybody's going to stop him. Week 2,
Mhm.
he follows that up with 98 points. Week 3, 164. He hit that magic number and he won.
Mhm.
Week 4, 117. Week 5, 130. Week 6, 138. And then the
Mhm.
next 3 weeks, 214, 163, 182. He is hot or cold. He is the yin and yang voodoo guy this year. He's the one I would not really want to play in the playoffs because you don't know which version you're going to get.
Mhm.
Um, he's put up really good numbers that are going to get him to wins, and those are the weeks that he's won his matchups. And then he's predictably had bad weeks where he's just been a walkover.
Yeah.
Really strange. And do you have any sense for what could be causing such a fluid movement here week to week?
I'll tell you what, when you got a guy like doing some reverse hurdle on someone out there, it really helps out.
Yeah, I mean Saquon. I mean he puts up nearly his best game. I mean he's not the reason he's hot and cold.
Mhm.
Saquon has been amazing, and probably if you ask people, he's like the top 1 or 2 running backs going forward the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Um, it's the rest of his lineup that's just you know Sam Darnold has been a revelation for how much he drafted him.
Mhm. Oh
Um,
yeah.
but like he's got this dilemma at tight end. I don't, for the life of me, I don't know why he has Sam Laporta and Brock Bowers. I mean, at this point, I don't think Sam Laporta has much trade value. He's had 2 good games after being having such a phenomenal rookie year last year.
Yeah.
He's just sort of phased out of this Lions offense. They don't need him, and here he is with Brock Bowers, phenom rookie, who's going to challenge the rookie reception uh, all-time number this
Mm-hmm.
year,
Yeah.
and he's going to plug him into his lineup. I think Laporta's sort of redundant, but he probably feels like because he's got so much draft capital pumped into him, he can't drop him.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he should have traded one of these guys in like the first 4 weeks and gotten some out of it. Instead, he's a little hamstrung with some of his wide receivers. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mixon and Barkley could be just the 2 best running back tandems any team has.
Mm-hmm.
And Lamar Jackson is playing like an MVP again this year and putting up phenomenal fantasy numbers. Like these are the numbers that Warrior wanted Kyler Murray to put up every week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he has just been really hurt in the wide receiver department in terms of consistency.
And even Waddle, he didn't Tua come back this week or no?
He did.
Yeah,
I think he's
and
been back. I think he's been back 2 weeks now.
oh boy, well this is it's been mediocre at best. Waddle has.
I mean, Waddle had sort of an interesting game. He had 1 catch for, I want to say, 30 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at his final box score and it says 2 catches minus 4 yards. The last play of the game, he got in their sort of fumble Rooski attempt to uh, lateral their way into a win. He got caught holding the bag where he got stuffed with like a 30-yard loss on a catch. Like he was the one who ended the game and got tackled, and so it counted against his yardage. That's why he he ends the day in a head scratching 2 catches for minus 4 yards and a touchdown. Uh, it, yeah, I mean he's turned out to be one of the worst fantasy pickups of the year just because
Mm-hmm.
of Tua's injury. I mean,
Yeah.
he's almost borderline unplayable. He's just getting him 6 points every week. It's just not going to cut it.
Yeah, combined with this Wicks guy, they got him like 0 points, and I mean, it's
Yeah,
bad.
Wicks has got, he probably picked him up after week 4 when he went off for 2 touchdowns. Since then, he's only had 1 game that you could consider okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Amari Cooper, he kept him. He drafted him when he was a Brown, and now he's a Bill. He had
Mm-hmm.
1 really good game the first week he was traded, and since then, nothing. Um, I don't know what to think about this core. Like what's he gonna put in here? Jacoby Myers has had really good games, like exceptional games,
Mm-hmm.
since the Raiders traded Devontae Adams. But is he really gonna trot out Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers? Like that seems like a disaster waiting to happen. He's never gonna trade. He doesn't do it, but I can see exactly why he's hot and cold. It's like he needs his quarterbacks and his running backs to just be outstanding every week, and then just hope one of his wide receivers goes off.
Mm-hmm.
That's his formula.
Yeah. I think he should play Cooper and Pickens when they get healthy and off buys and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he will. And Cooper, sorry, Pickens probably has more long-term like sustainability in terms of like week-to-week play, but it's still not that great. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Waddle just hasn't shown it. Uh, Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I think obviously wide receiver is hurting for him. Natural trade partner. If you got a good wide receiver core, this dude's got a running back he could give you if he would trade.
Yeah. um. Anything to say about Frank over here? He loses Prescott for 4 weeks here.
I was a little head scratching. I maybe he thinks he's gonna put Prescott in over. I mean, he bitches about having Prescott a few weeks ago. Jokes
Mm-hmm.
about wanting to trade, get him off his team. He should have, because now he's injured and he's radioactive in terms of
Yeah.
trading.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, after a run of being really hot for 4 straight weeks, has cooled off after the bye week. And for some reason, he just didn't start Baker Mayfield, who has looked electric. I don't know if Kansas City scared him off for some reason, but he's okay at quarterback. His problem is his wide receivers. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's junk. and he's caught in a bad place. Like T Higgins, I can't believe wasn't traded at the trade deadline. Like
Yeah.
he's been so injured. He's had a couple of good weeks, and he's just disappointing. I was in the T Higgins business last year. It was not fun. I
Mm.
had no interest in drafting him.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift has actually looked really good after the first 3 weeks of the season, looking like shit. But he's playing guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, Rashad Bateman, Cortland Sutton, who had a good week, but like
Mm.
we get
Yeah.
other weeks have been hit or miss.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler, who has been, I guess a little consistent, hasn't been great. This was his best week of the year.
Yeah.
Uh, there's just no explosion here. He's like begging for Najee Harris to come back from bye.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah.
And I have to play him next week, so I'm sure he'll put up 185.
Yeah. He'll give you the business.
But I just don't, I don't see it. This doesn't just he does not look like a playoff team, and part of it sucks because he traded uh, with Mr. President very early on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the first trade of the year, and I'm going to pull up the specifics right now, um, so we have it fresh. He gives away Justin Fields and Jamar Chase. Now the Justin Fields thing is interesting because ultimately he's not out because now he's not the starter. So while it was a good run for Big Show to have Fields, it's no longer good. But he gets Jamar Chase. So Frank gives up Jamar Chase. He gets Baker Mayfield, Samir White, and Rashid Shaheed. It's just a swap Baker Mayfield for Jamar Chase essentially, and you know pound for pound, it looks like it's more helpful for Frank because Baker has produced more points than Jamar Chase. But it really sucks that Samir White just hasn't panned out. He dropped him, and Rashid Shaheed tore his knee up and is gone for the rest of the year. He looked like he was going to have some promise. I mean, he was putting up really good numbers through 6 weeks. So he just got unlucky, and he's got a really good quarterback, but he has nothing else to help his team.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to trade his way out of this somehow. Like he's going to have to give up Baker Mayfield for a lesser player, maybe Travis Kelce for a lesser player,
Mm-hmm.
and get help at running back and wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way he's making the playoffs.
Yeah. Biggest blowout of the week.
Yeah, that could happen to anybody. Really, he put up 127 points, and he was
Mm-hmm.
projected to put up 125.
Yeah.
So he exceeded expectations.
Yeah. You want to go to Saquon and Sally?
Sure. I mean, let's talk about maybe something a little more competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, Saquon he gets 170. Not bad at all. Yeah, but he gets good performances out of Garrett Wilson. Finally, he's been up and down this year, but he has his third best week here. Yeah, but other than that though, he loses AJ Brown though. He's got problems here now. Achan goes off. He's probably going to be the better running back maybe down the stretch here. He has his best week so far as well. What about some of the other players? Geno Smith, great week. He has his best week as well. All of his players pretty much had some of their better weeks. It's looking like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, he only managed 170. I think the big disappointment has been C.J. Stroud, who just he's had a couple good weeks. He's been in that Kyler Murray camp where he's had a few good weeks where you're really happy with him, and then everything else has been Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Wilson, he has actually looked pretty strong since uh, the Devontae Adams trade. He's still getting the targets, and this week obviously was really good. He's looked all right. I mean, people were worried. I think if we were talking about any other manager, he may have panic sold him, and perhaps it would have been a bad decision because the last 2 weeks have been very, very good. I think he's gonna be fine. AJ Brown's gonna be okay. He left, hurt his knee, but they said it's nothing and he'll be fine. So that's no biggie. Jordan Addison, I mean, the guy's not gonna score a touchdown every week. So that's just,
Mhm.
dart throw that he got right. Devon Achan is finally, I think every week that Tua is in for Miami, he's going to have great numbers. I mean, three healthy weeks with Tua, week 1, week 8, week 9, all over 20 points.
Mhm.
He benefits the most, it seems like, from that. Tyler Lockett, like Tyler Lockett scores his second touchdown, like that's sort of flash in the pan. He's been a little unlucky with Trey McBride, who's a very, very good tight end and just hasn't scored like the touchdowns that we would expect. And it just seems that's because the Arizona offense as a whole has been bad. He's another one of these, like Dooku, who's had 2 really good tight ends. He's got Jake Ferguson on his team, who's sort of producing some mediocre numbers, but had like name value early in the season. And McBride, and he should have just traded them. He's got Russell Wilson on his bench, who's put up good numbers, and people like me and Big Show and maybe some others would love to have Russell Wilson as a second quarterback, but this guy
Mhm.
just won't trade. He won't trade to improve his team, and I think it's kind of a shame because he could easily package a deal where he gives Wilson away, gives maybe Jordan Addison away, and gets just a every week starter at wide receiver. Um, go alongside Achan and Stroud and Wilson and AJ Brown. Like I think it would be really, really good. Uh, it just, for him, it's just sort of a shame because he has all the pieces here. He's won top dick once. Um, he has weeks where he puts up good numbers. I mean, just look at this: 166, 169, 182, 170. So he's had 4 weeks where he's put up pretty good numbers and has gotten beat, like bad beats. A few of those weeks, he put up 154 points another week.
Mhm.
So more times than not, he's put numbers up that you would think should net him a win. Um,
Mhm.
and and yet he's still on the outside looking in here at the playoff hunt, even though by half a point.
Mhm.
He's like a move away, I think. He could, I mean, he could get into the playoffs with this
Yeah.
lineup as is. He's got good depth and he's got a decent lineup, but it just he's not going to strike fear into opponents if he makes the playoffs with this group.
Mhm.
He just has to get really lucky, and it's sort of a shame. He's got assets to trade up and get a really good piece, and I just don't think he'll do it.
Yeah, I hear you. He beats the guy right above him, Sally, who gets above 150, but not. He gets in the top 6 scores, but doesn't beat Saquon here.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this. His his wide receiver group has been so in flux. He started out with some folks that just never took off, like Brandon Ayuk, who's gone for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Taylor has been in and out of the games with ankle injuries, and he drafted Anthony Richardson, Taylor's quarterback, and they we don't know what the hell they're going to do with Richardson. He doesn't seem like a professional. Like he's ready to lead an NFL team, and outside of Week 1, man, he has done diddly squat. Who knows if he's going to be under center again? That's just it's just a waste. He's relegated to starting Jordan Love, who is I think it's safe to say he's having regression as a second-year starter, and he's in that Kyler Murray camp with C.J. Stroud, where he's had a couple really good weeks, and everything else has been Daniel Jones-esque. And then his other quarterback is Derek Carr, uh, whose Saints just fired their head coach mid-season, and after looking like an MVP for 2 weeks, has done shit for 6 or 7 weeks straight. I, Sally's another guy. He's more willing, I think, to take risk. Maybe he would execute a trade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know where to turn. I kind of feel like he needs a quarterback upgrade. Um, these two teams might actually be good candidates to help each other. I bet he would love to have Russell Wilson, or one of these other quarterbacks that Saquon has, and I bet Saquon would love to have somebody like Jaden Reed, or yeah, I guess maybe Jaden Reed. I don't know who else he would give him. He probably wouldn't give him Zay Flowers, who's had 5 outstanding weeks. Keenan Allen just garbage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe on second thought, I mean the combination of Gibbs and Taylor, uh, he may be more. He may have to part ways with one of these running backs in order to get some return. He might
Yeah.
be a little stuck. I mean, he doesn't have like a whole like a depth. I tried to package a trade with him, um, several that I just never got responses from. Like I
Mm.
tried to focus trade around George Kittle and getting one of his quarterbacks, um, giving him 3 players in return for 2 or something. Like I thought it was pretty fair. Never
Yeah.
heard anything back, so he may just be content to just let it ride. And he's slowly faded from the top ranks of playoffs.
Yeah.
He's now clinging, clutching 6th place.
Yeah.
He won 3 out of his 4 matches, and now he's lost 4 of his last 5.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not on a good trend. Moves down one spot in the rankings this week.
And he hasn't had a bad week.
Yeah.
The worst output he had was 124 points.
Yeah.
He's had a week where he's won by scoring 134, and then he had a week where he scored 192 and lost. So his sort of bad luck has sort of canceled each other. But
Mm-hmm.
um, last 2 weeks he's been pretty unlucky. 167 points, 157 points, lost both matches. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he's just been consistent. It's like he scores 150 points and has the hope that somebody else doesn't perform better. So he's kind of like Saquon. He just doesn't strike me as a team that if he gets in the playoffs are going to strike much fear in his
Mm-hmm.
opponents.
Yeah. Move on to Thomas Shelby. Gets 164 points. Blows out the biggest show. Pretty bad.
I've been very impressed with Shelby.
Yeah.
He's drafted well, and I think it really comes down to Derrick Henry. He has looked outstanding, and there's a reason why he's the number 1 running back. Just
Mm-hmm.
week after week after week, he produces,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really matter if he has sort of down weeks from other players. This guy's just really good.
Mm-hmm.
He drafted a lot of young players. Some of them have come through, and his real question mark is just consistency. He doesn't really know, I don't think, on a week-to-week basis, which of his rookie receivers and running backs are going to go off.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of hoping that Jonathan Brooks, the young guy from Carolina, is going to come back after their bye and sort of take over that job. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think he'll split work with um, Chuba Hubbard, and they'll just sort of cannibalize each other. But between Henry and Jacobs, he's got a very, very good 1-2 punch. He got Jacobs in his trade with Big Show. Will remind the the remix here, that trade involved giving up Justin Jefferson and Brian Robinson, getting back Khalil Shakir, Jared Goff, and Josh Jacobs. Uh, Goff, even though he looked bad this week, he's put up good numbers. I mean, sort of average or above average, and then great a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of consistent. I don't know. I mean, the more I look at these numbers, the more I'm like, hey, it's worse than last year.
Yeah.
The Lions are just so good. They don't need him. I mean, holy shit, week 8, he only passes for 85 yards. He has 3 touchdowns, and they win 52-14.
Mm-hmm.
He's just guiding arguably the best team in the league
Yeah.
to just like easy victories, and he hasn't had to put up much.
Yeah. I think you'll have tougher matchups down here near the playoff time too, so we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, Shakir, yeah, that seems kind of like a good play, like a good player, just like a decent wide receiver 3. But you know, Terry McLaurin has really looked good this year. He was sort of written off. Tank Dell is probably going to benefit from Stephon Diggs being out the rest of the year. So
Mm-hmm.
while his season looked like it was on life support through like the first 7 weeks, now it looks much better. And he's coming back from a pretty serious injury from last year. It's hard to look at this and think, yeah, he needs like 2 wide receivers to be good every week because he's got Henry and Jacobs, and he needs his quarterbacks just to be decent. And Tua and Goff are kind of those guys. Just give me 16 points, maybe one of them get over 20, and he'll be a difficult out
Yeah.
in the playoffs. I think like he doesn't have just like over the top like scaring you out of your mind type numbers and lineups. But I mean, look at this. Look at what he scored: 164, 187, 144, 163, 138, 71, 67, 144, 128. So he's had 3 sort of down weeks, and then it's just been really good. You have to put up numbers to beat him, and he's
Mm-hmm.
gotten pretty unlucky. He scored really well in a couple of games and lost.
Yeah.
So he belongs where he is, and I wonder. I can't help but think where he would be if he had Justin Jefferson in his lineup and no Jared Goff and Josh Jacobs. Because while Jacobs has been good outside of Week 8 for him, he has not really been that good.
Mm-hmm.
He's just been sort of a decent running back too. So
Yeah.
Jefferson, on the other hand, just is outstanding. So I think that trade was a net loss for him, which what a shock. His opponent here puts up 25 with Jefferson against him, even though that was the highlight of his week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's turn to the man of the hour and the man of the next 4 years. What do we
Yeah.
what do we think about Trump? This might be the one time we get to really take a shit on his team.
Yeah, I'm not gonna read too much into it because you had weird stuff like Puka, getting kicked out of the game and stuff like that. But Flacco looked lost out there. He looked all of his age. But I'm not reading. He had a lot of bye week blues a little bit too. So I don't know if I'm concerned yet or not with this team.
Well, let's look at him optimistically.
Yeah.
He's got one reliable quarterback, which is Brock Purdy. If you pull up Brock Purdy's numbers, Brock is in that sort of consistent Tua Tagovailoa range, minus the head trauma, who's probably going to get him 17 points on average, which is good, not great. Then his wide receivers, he gets to plug in Chase, Jefferson, Nico Collins, and Puka Nakua. He gets to play all 4 of those every single week. And Chase is hot or cold, but he has weeks where he'll give you 50 or 35. He's got Justin Jefferson, I keep want to call him Jordan, Jesus, who is every week going to get him 20 points. Nico Collins, before he went down with his injury, was getting him every week, or getting Nick Saban every week, 20, 30 points. It's just a murderer's row. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a set of four wide receivers that are that lethal. And then he's got Bijan Robinson, who is top 5 in running back. He's got the other Robinson, Brian Robinson, who is he's been dealing with some injuries. And the first 5 weeks of the year he was pretty good, and now he's sort of tailed off a little bit. But that's a little bit of a weakness, and that's it. Like, that is his team. He's got James Conner, who he's well. Let's keep Conner aside. So he's got a question mark at running back 2. He's either going to put Conner in or he's going to put Brian Robinson, because I don't think he's going to choose Conner or Robinson, the younger, the latter, over Nakua, or his fourth wide receiver I just talked about. And then he's got, what's his other quarterback? He doesn't have one. He's got Joe Flacco. He doesn't have Justin Fields anymore. Fields is not going to be the starter in Pittsburgh unless something catastrophic happens to Russell Wilson. So he's riding as a one quarterback guy right now the whole way, because it's like who would you start reliably every week? James Conner or Joe Flacco?
Oh,
Brian Robinson Jr. or Joe Flacco?
yeah.
Puka Nakua or Joe Flacco? Like, he he's going to play the non-quarterback, but that is just such a dangerous game. Like, it it's so interesting. I mean, he's like every supervillain who just has these magnificent powers, and like the Death Star, he's got one fatal flaw, and it's like if you get him at the right time and hit him in the precise location, he's going to go down. And this just sort of underscores what could potentially go wrong for him. He had 3 of his 4 wide receivers in play, and he had a bad quarterback game, and he scores 114 points. So, I've set him up as this just absolute loser team, but there's a chance that he's just not going to run away with this.
Yeah, I mean, this showed he's a little touchable. Well, in a few weeks, I mean, and like you said, I mean, he's shopping around for a quarterback right now.
Yeah, I mean, the game is up if he's able to offload one of his 3 running backs for a quarterback, or one of his 4 wide receivers for a really good quarterback in return. I mean, he's got some pieces here that, like, I don't know, like, they're like in his bench. I'm trying to see what combination. I mean, if he could, he would trade 4 pieces of shit for one really good quarterback. And yeah, I think the league hopefully is too in tune to let that happen. But that would be his ultimate goal. I don't think it would be outside the norms of sort of ethics to explain a trade he tried to come to me with. He wanted to give me uh, some combination of, I would consider lesser players, including Brian Robinson, and he wanted Brees Hall from me. And his goal is always to, how can I essentially have like 2 top 5 running backs and 3 top 5 wide receivers all on my team at one time. Like, that's his goal. He wanted Joe Burrow from me. Like he just wants these top end players. And it's not like he's not willing to give up assets to get them, but he knows at this point he has 3 reliable running backs and 4 reliable wide receivers. And under normal circumstances, he can only play 6 of those 7, unless he only starts one quarterback. And I just think there's going to be a matchup. I'm going to assume he gets a first round bye. He's got 2 matches. He got a semifinal matchup against a good team, and hopefully a final match against or a good team, where he's going to potentially roll the dice with just one quarterback, and it might not work for him.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if he trades his way out of this again. We'll see.
Well, if he does, I think the league's cooked.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. Any team could be taken down, but just odds on, it would make it almost unfun to see what would happen in the playoffs because his team would just be so overpowered at that point.
Yeah.
Um, at least there's this one thing that sort of makes him semi-human.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get to it. A struggling Nick Saban beats the commish. Oh.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's not a lot to say about this matchup. Yeah, he um he just he had a good week. He had a decent week. I mean, he started players that he had no business starting. Tank Bigsby,
Stank
Ray
Bigsby.
Ray McLeod gets him 12 points. I mean, just look at Ray McLeod's points up until week 9. You know, he scores his average through the first 8 weeks. I probably beat him.
Yeah.
This is the 1 week Devonte Adams actually looked really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh, his
You're
kicker gets 12 points.
So you're saying he had his best week, one of his better weeks, huh? Yeah.
I mean, it's just and his good players showed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He left, he left 27 points on his bench in a defense. He just played the right pieces. It doesn't surprise me. He put up 158 points. That's not insurmountable. I should have beat him. Uh, I just couldn't,
Yeah.
and that's all. I sort of was. It sucked that I couldn't play DK Metcalf. It sucks that he's been out the last 2 weeks. Um,
Yeah.
and it sucks that I put Winston in instead of Daniel Jones. Just bad luck.
Yeah, Winston, he goes quoting Eminem and then he then he gives you 10 points, huh?
Yeah. Well, the guy that I picked up with him is that Cedric Tillman dude.
Mm,
The 3 weeks that he's been in with Winston, he's looked pretty good.
yeah.
And so I feel like I just picked someone up out of nowhere off the street. So
God. Oh, Kyle Pitts of despair again, huh?
yeah, this was after 4 really good weeks in a row from a tight end, he had a bad game.
Yeah.
One target, only one target, and he caught it.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure you improve. You know, I know you've been up and down this year, so
We shall see. I'm slightly better than I think in the QB department than Big Show, but I need
yeah.
I need I need Jameis to. Jameis just has such a hard road the last 6 7 weeks of the season after he goes on bye, and then Daniel Jones conversely has an excellent schedule after his bye week.
Mm-hmm.
I need him to just run his little ass off and score rushing touchdowns and
Mm-hmm.
just do something for New York. Because if he can just get me 17, 18 points, I got a decent team here. I think with
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown and Devontae Smith and DK Metcalf, I got 3 really good wide receivers. Brees Hall and Tony Pollard. I think I got 2 very good running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Pitts most weeks is going to give me good tight end production, and then Joe Burrow has been one of the top 3 best, consistent quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I'm a dangerous team potentially.
Yeah.
I just need these players to all play at the same time. And
Yeah, I'm with you though. Like if all your players went off, like you would actually have like a 200-point week or something, you know.
but it's the stars are sort of the universe is telling me that I
Mm-hmm.
need to take a back seat this year. there's
Uh,
just there's just been a lot of things that have been pointed towards an early exit.
do you think so? Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
God, well, then I get to pick on the last place team here this week.
You do, Mr. Bust his ass, man. It's gonna be a little too late for him. I'm afraid with Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, yeah, he was waiting all year for him, and he might be finally coming back, but yeah, not good.
Well, he's still not out of it. Like we said, he needs to start winning matchups now.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts McCaffrey in his lineup. That gives him McCaffrey, Kamara. It's a really good 1-2 punch. Travis Etienne just has been a wasted draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Neighbors, good player. DJ Moore, he hasn't been good because his quarterback has been bad. He's got Jaden Daniels. I, 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 he has to trade McCaffrey or he has to trade Kamara. I don't, I don't know. The answer is I really don't know. I don't want him to trade any of those players to a really good team, but
Yeah.
um, he should have traded McCaffrey weeks ago. Or, um, I was actually trying to encourage him to trade McCaffrey to you because you had McCaffrey's backup.
Yeah, I've been thinking about just straight up asking him if he wants to trade one for some of the other running backs I have on San Fran right now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, at this point, I mean, that's not going to happen. Like he's waited this long. McCaffrey's going to come back and play. He's
Yeah.
he's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as long as he's out there and he's healthy. So um, it would take a lot to get McCaffrey out of him now, as it should. But he's Malik Neighbors had a couple really good weeks there, first part of the first month, and then he's just cooled. Jaden Daniels has been outstanding every year, every week this year. That's been amazing. I I might trade one of those two because
Mm-hmm.
he can only keep one up for next year, and I think that he needs some help. He needs more consistency. If
Mm-hmm.
ETN can come back and be the guy and sort of give him 15 points a week, then that'd be great. But Jacksonville looks like garbage,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he just he just hasn't been cutting it. 10, 12 points first 3 weeks, and then nothing after that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he's got problems. I don't think he's going to make the playoffs. Although he'll be a little scary, with Kamara and McCaffrey. Some
Yeah.
weeks, the combination of those two, Jaden Daniels and Neighbors, like they might win him a week or two, but I don't see him
Mm.
overcoming it with this
Yeah.
lineup,
Yeah,
which
you
is a
were right.
shame.
Yeah, you were right about dropping Komet too. By the way, yeah.
Well, he's he worked for you, and then he clearly didn't work for him. So
Yeah.
some folks have the luck, and some don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think I got a problem with CD Lamb now with this shoulder injury? What do you think?
I don't think necessarily. I think you've got a Cooper Rush problem now.
Cooper Rush problem.
Yep, because he's the guy that's going to be throwing CeeDee Lamb the ball for the next
Oh,
month.
oh yeah. I've heard maybe them starting some other guy too if he starts having problems.
Okay, well,
But
then that's an even bigger problem because you don't even know his name.
yeah, I got two wide receivers with AC joint injuries, but yeah, we'll see how he does. Mm.
You're going to have Allen, who is good. He's who you drafted. I mean, that's really nice. The last 5 or 6 weeks, it looked a little rough there first month of the season. He had two
Mm-hmm.
dud games, and then since then, he's just been off to the races. And
Yeah.
they've won, almost every one of those games. So they're doing what they need to do. You're you're sort of okay at running back, but it's like Rashad White. It's like smoke and mirrors. Can this guy score a touchdown every week? He had 3 attempts for 19 yards, 3 catches for 16 yards. He doesn't get in the end zone. That's a hell of a bad week. And then
Hmm.
kind of the same thing last week. Um, it just You just never know. he can't do it every week, right? And then
Mm-mm.
James Cook, sort of the opposite problem. He's obviously very good, but if he doesn't get in the end zone, it's a good week, but not a great week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think you're okay there. I don't know what to say with Lamb, man.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the right move is. I told you weeks and weeks ago you should have offloaded Jordan Mason. Now he's just useless. Um, I think you keep him because you don't know what he's gonna what McCaffrey's gonna be. McCaffrey
Yeah.
could hurt himself and just be done for the year. But at this point, it looks like Mason and Garendo are just useless. Just
Yeah.
just useless additions.
Yeah.
Um, you need somebody to start in your flex. I don't think you can start Xavier Worthy every week and be very happy. I know he gave you negative points this week, but even if he doesn't, like 4 points, 3 points, occasionally a 10 or 11 point week, I mean that's you can't be banking on that and wanting to be a good playoff team.
Yeah.
I well, this might hurt. I
Uh,
if you could trade,
Jennings is gonna be a good wide receiver with Brandon Ayuk done for the year.
you think so?
Yeah.
I mean, he's had 2 good weeks, and I mean, didn't that one good week happen when I mean, Ayuk was there, but Deebo Samuel wasn't?
Right. I
And
think
I
so. Yeah.
I just don't think you can just bank on him coming in there and getting a lot of points. I mean, yeah, you would start Jennings over Worthy. Like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But assuming Lamb is only giving you like 4 catches for 50 yards now
Mm-hmm.
till
Yeah.
until Dak comes back, that, that's hard. And the Rashad White question marks we talked about. Darnell Mooney has been a great pickup, but there's going to be occasional weeks where he scores 5 points, 7 points.
Yeah.
Uh, I I might suggest shaking it up with Lamb.
Yeah.
Trade him on his name. Trade him on his name. Maybe get 2 other wide receivers, or get a decent wide receiver to complement Cooper Cup, and then a running back you can put in your flex. Just because you're kind of as bad as Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville have been. He's been okay for fantasy, and as a QB2, he's been okay. Um, you
Mm-hmm.
got Matt Stafford, who every game that he's had Cooper Cup has looked really good. So there's some quarterback needy teams out there. I'm
Yeah.
raising my hand. I'd love to
Yeah.
have Matt Stafford's consistency. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Now someone's already already trying to poach me on that one already too.
I mean that's what I'm saying. Like you just have obviously it's good to have quarterback depth, but you could package Stafford and or Lawrence with CeeDee Lamb and get 3 really good players back and just have a solid lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that.
But it just depends. Depends on who you're going to do it with. Hint, hint.
Yeah, maybe I'll take some looks. When's the trade deadline again, though?
It is the Friday or Saturday after Thanksgiving, so we got
Oh,
a few more
okay.
weeks.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's about all the teams for the recaps. Um, yeah, anything else you want to go over? Any projections or anything?
I don't know. Fuck these teams. I'm sure Frank's
Yeah.
going to have a great week this week. I'm going against him.
Yeah. I think the big show might take me down. We'll see, unless I can pull something off.
Yeah, it looks like the marquee matchup of the week. I think he's looking better, but he's got the same scenario.
Hmm.
Who's he going to put in that spot? I guess I don't know if Nico Collins is going to come back. It's sort of suggested he might, but if he
Yeah.
does, I think he's sliding him in instead of Flacco, which is going to be funny. Um,
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Okay. But well, anything else? You about ready to sign off?
yeah, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
Just good luck to the teams out there. This is the stretch, home stretch. We're back in our division, interdivision games. 5 weeks left.
Mm-hmm.
You're all pretty much right there in the playoffs or approaching it. So this is your chance to not blow it.
Yeah.
And by not blow it, I mean not trade a quarterback to Donald Trump. He's already won enough this week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll try to beat him so I can put him down.
Just a little bit. Well, for the assistant commish, this is Hollywood NWO Hogan, your commish. Good luck in week 10, and we, as always, hope you enjoyed the ride.
Get your ass to box. Get your ass to box. Get your ass to box.